One constant in the commercial tire service industry is the need for emergency road service. When vehicles are disabled or placed out of service by tires, they rely on a network of technicians and specialized trucks who can safely get them up and running on the side of the road. A professional tire service truck must have the tools and equipment to service tires and wheels on a wide variety of vehicles. There are three basic types of mobile tire service vehicle: emergency road service, fleet service, and farm OTR service. The emergency road service truck is typically about the size of a pickup and is not designed to carry a large number of tires. With a shorter wheelbase and better turning radius, it can more easily be maneuvered in traffic, parking lots, or on job sites. Perhaps the most common and versatile road service truck is the one designed for fleet service. The combination of a hydraulic liftgate and extended bed makes it ideal for delivering larger numbers of tires. It can also be used to perform emergency road service, but it is best suited for servicing multiple tires at multiple locations. Off-the-road vehicles like large farm tractors and earth-moving equipment require a specialized vehicle with unique capabilities. The OTR service truck has a hydraulic tire hand or articulating boom to handle the tires and may include a pump to remove and install liquid ballast. Before operating any type of tire service vehicle, the driver must conduct a pre-trip inspection on all vehicles 10,001 pounds and greater. Emergency road service technicians should conduct daily inspections and record the condition of the vehicle and key pieces of tire safety equipment. The inspection should begin with the lights, amber beacon, turn signals, and the vital fluids like the engine oil. Other items that must be inspected prior to each workday include the horn, windshield wipers, washer fluid, and engine coolant. If the vehicle has a backup alarm or camera, make sure that they are operational before driving. Since the air compressor is by far one of the most critical pieces of equipment on the vehicle, the oil or fluid level should also be checked on a regular basis. Start the compressor, and once the air system is fully charged, turn off the compressor and shut down the vehicle. Inspect the regulator, filter, hose reels, and end fittings for any major leaks. Professional service trucks always include a hydraulic liftgate, so technicians should inspect it in both directions. It's also important to make sure the liftgate is securely shut so it won't come open while the vehicle is moving. Road service trucks operate in areas where a lot of debris is on the ground. This makes the tires prime candidates for punctures and other injuries, so the inflation pressure must be checked as early in the day as possible. Drivers should also periodically check the tread depth. Service trucks with a GVWR of 10,001 pounds or greater must have at least 4 30-seconds of a tread on the steer axle tires and 2 30-seconds of a tread on the rear tires. Vehicles 10,000 pounds and under must have at least 2 30-seconds tread depth on all tires. It is also important to regularly inspect the basic safety equipment like the fire extinguisher, reflective triangles, hard hat, and reflective vest. Emergency road service trucks need a basic first aid kit. In addition to bandages and antibacterial products, it's also a good idea to include eye wash. The rules for PPE apply to every worksite, so technicians should make sure they have the appropriate eye and hand protection before leaving the shop. Like most of the mechanical components on a service truck, the impact wrench also needs regular maintenance. The best time to apply air tool oil is at the end of the day, so the internal components are protected from corrosion due to airline moisture. It's also a good practice to hit the release valve and completely drain the air tank before driving the vehicle. Driving with a pressurized air tank could be dangerous if the vehicle is involved in a collision. Draining the tank throughout the day also minimizes the amount of moisture that can damage air tools. According to Occupational Safety and Health Administration Regulation 29 CFR 1910.177, the portable safety cage must be inspected prior to each day's use. Technicians should look for any cracks, excessive corrosion, or bent components. OSHA also requires a restraining device to be able to withstand a tire explosion that occurs at 150% of the maximum tire inflation. If the restraining device is damaged, it must be recertified by the manufacturer or a professional engineer to ensure it meets OSHA strength requirements. Besides all of the risks that are associated with servicing tires, emergency road service technicians must also recognize the hazards related to driving. Since the size and weight is often a lot more than a regular vehicle, extra caution must be exercised while driving a tire service truck. Road service technicians spend a lot of time driving in all types of traffic and weather conditions, so limiting distractions is very important. According to the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety, the average driver makes 20 major decisions every mile, and insurance company data showed that distractions contributed to 50% of all commercial driving accidents, which is more than weather, failure to yield, and following too closely combined. The thousands of decisions that are made every day are going to be impacted by two types of distractions: visual and physical. A visual distraction is anything that takes the eyes away from the road, like accidents, road construction, and billboards. A physical distraction is anything that causes the driver to take a hand off the steering wheel or a foot off the pedal. The most common physical distraction is probably related to using a cell phone. As of 2015, 14 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico have banned the use of handheld cell phones while driving. Since they are primary enforcement laws in each state, officers can issue a citation for using a handheld phone without any traffic violations taking place. But the most dangerous physical distraction while driving is probably texting. According to the Virginia Tech Transportation Institute, drivers are 23.2 times more likely to have an accident while texting. For that reason, 46 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico have banned texting while driving as of 2015. All but 5 have primary enforcement. Arizona, Missouri, Montana, and Texas are the only states without laws that prohibit texting while driving. And while hands-free devices may be legal because of the perceived benefit of minimizing distractions, studies have shown that drivers are still 10 times more likely to have an accident while driving and talking on the phone. For this reason alone, technicians should always pull over to the side of the road when making or receiving phone calls or texting on any type of cellular device. Visual and physical distractions cause drivers to take their eyes off of the vehicle in front of them, which increases the chances of an accident when the vehicle is moving. If a driver takes just 2 seconds to check a text or look at a map at 35 miles per hour, the vehicle will travel over 100 feet. At 50 miles an hour, the distance traveled increases to almost 150 feet. And at 65 miles an hour, the vehicle will travel almost 200 feet in just 2 seconds. In order to minimize distractions, drivers should plan ahead before getting behind the wheel. The first step is to verify the location of the disabled vehicle by looking at a map or programming the address into the GPS system. If traffic reports are available, checking them ahead of time will help the driver plan the best route. The next step is to make sure all of the mirrors are adjusted and the passenger compartment of the truck is as clean as possible. Impact wrenches, tools, and other equipment in the cab can cause a distraction or become projectiles in the event of an accident. Once the route is determined and everything in the cab is secure, the drivers must fasten their safety belts before starting their engines. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety Loss Data Institute, unrestrained vehicle occupants are more likely to be fatally injured in a crash when compared to occupants wearing a safety belt. As the number of vehicles on the road continually increases, traffic congestion is becoming a major issue for most motorists. The most important thing to remember is to remain calm and not drive aggressively. Drivers that repeatedly change lanes and disobey posted speed limits are more likely to be involved in accidents and fender benders. Data from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety showed that speeding was a factor in about 30% of all motor vehicle crash fatalities from 2004 to 2013. Aggressive driving can also lead to traffic citations. Bad driving records result in higher insurance premiums for employers. So a history or pattern of traffic citations could put a road service technician's job at risk. Following a vehicle too closely is called tailgating. Tailgating is aggressive driving behavior that can be mistaken for road rage. Most rear-end collisions are caused when the vehicle in back is following too closely. If another driver is tailgating, move to a different lane or turn off the road as soon as possible and allow the tailgating vehicle to pass. And whenever drivers change lanes, it's important to use turn signals and always check the blind spot before moving into another lane of traffic. The stopping ability of an emergency road service truck depends on a number of factors. Besides the condition of the road, the number of tires being transported will also have a direct effect on the required stopping distance. As a result, drivers should always maintain a safe following distance from the vehicle directly in front of the truck. If the truck is loaded with tires and wheels on a rainy or snowy day, drivers will need more space to bring the truck to a complete stop. Drivers can ensure that they have a safe following distance by applying the 3-second rule. To determine the correct following distance, first select a fixed object on the road like a sign, tree, or overpass. When the vehicle ahead passes the object, slowly count 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000. If the drivers reach the object before completing the count, the vehicle is following too closely. Making sure there are at least 3 seconds between vehicles gives drivers the time and distance to respond to any problems in the lanes ahead. The 3-second rule applies to dry road conditions during daylight hours. During inclement weather, nighttime driving, or heavy traffic, drivers may need to increase the following distance up to 6 seconds. If the weather is exceptionally poor, such as heavy rain, snow, or fog, the following distance might need to be as long as 9 seconds to safely remain behind other drivers. Service trucks that operate in climates where snow and ice are present during winter months should be outfitted with winter or traction tires. The additional traction makes it easier to stop the service truck. Finally, if an accident does happen, make sure the necessary information is recorded, like the name and address of the other driver or drivers. If a cell phone camera is available, take pictures of the damage to all of the vehicles involved. Before leaving the shop to perform emergency road service, the driver should make sure that everything in the back of the truck is secure. Improperly secured cargo can cause load shifting and lead to a loss of control. Whenever possible, tires should be transported in a deflated or partially inflated condition. In some states, everything in the bed of a truck must be secured, including the portable restraining device and other equipment. The most important safety factor when performing emergency roadside service is visibility. Technicians must wear a reflective vest or reflective clothing whenever working out of a service truck. When working on the side of the road or highway, every effort to increase visibility with reflective clothing is going to reduce the chances of an accident. Once the disabled vehicle is located, the driver must make sure there is a safe place to work. Road service technicians should consider the position of the tire or tires requiring service, the proximity to the nearest lane of traffic, and the condition of the ground. Before getting out of the service truck, put the vehicle in park or neutral. Apply the parking brake and activate the hazard lights and amber beacon light if present. If the tires in need of service are on the driver's side of the vehicle, the best practice is to look for an off-ramp or area where there is sufficient room to work safely. When there isn't enough room on the shoulder of the road to safely service the tires because traffic or another hazard are too close, the driver will have to move the vehicle to a safer area. Do not service the tire or tires if the conditions are too dangerous. Have the driver move the vehicle or contact the local authorities to provide traffic control so the tire or tires can be serviced safely. It's also important to consider the condition of the ground before attempting emergency roadside tire service. If the ground is loose, soft, sandy, or not level, the vehicle should be moved to an area where firm, level ground is available. Once it's been determined that the work area is safe, make sure the service truck is about 30 feet behind the disabled vehicle, which is about 12 paces. Keep the wheels facing straight ahead, directly behind the disabled vehicle. Turning the wheels or parking the truck on an angle can be dangerous if the service truck is struck from behind by another vehicle. By keeping everything facing straight forward in a direct line with the other vehicle, only one area becomes a hazardous zone. Technicians should never get caught between two vehicles on any highway or road surface. Before beginning to work on the disabled vehicle, technicians must place reflective triangles in the appropriate positions. Federal Regulation 49 CFR Part 392.22 states that whenever a commercial motor vehicle is stopped on the shoulder of a highway, the driver must place warning devices on the road within 10 minutes. On a divided highway, one triangle should be about 4 paces or 10 feet behind the vehicle. Another triangle placed at 40 paces or 100 feet from the vehicle, and the final one placed at 200 feet or about 40 paces from the triangle placed at 100 feet. On a 2-lane highway or road without a median, one triangle should be placed 40 paces or 100 feet in front, one triangle 4 paces or 10 feet behind, and the final one placed at 40 paces, 100 feet behind the vehicle. In situations where the vehicle is stopped on a road within 500 feet of a curve, crest of a hill, or other obstruction, the triangle in the direction of the curve or obstruction must be viewable between 100 and 500 feet so other drivers have ample warning. Reflective tape can also be added to the front and rear of a service truck to make it more visible when it's parked on the side of the road. It can also be helpful when working in parking lots or job sites. When working in a drop lot at a terminal or parking lot, the hazard and amber beacon lights should be activated at all times. Most of the time, the vehicle that needs tire service will be identified by a number. Always confirm that the vehicle number matches the work order before starting the work. And when parking between two trailers, never pull all the way back, and leave your amber beacon and hazard lights on at all times. Remember, whenever backing up, the driver must check both mirrors for any vehicles, obstructions, or people that may be behind the service truck. Unlike service calls on the side of the road, many job sites and parking lots give technicians more room to work and position the vehicle. Since most of the tool compartments are on the passenger side of the service truck, it's acceptable to park next to the disabled vehicle as long as there is enough room to work safely. Some job and construction sites are also designated areas where hard hats must be worn at all times. Technicians should always make sure that they have an approved hard hat. Selecting the service area is equally important to technician safety when working on the side of the road. Never work between the disabled vehicle and the service truck. If a passing motorist strikes the service truck, anyone in the no-work zone will be crushed between the two vehicles. Other reasons why technicians should never work between the two vehicles is oncoming traffic cannot be seen, and the noise of the engine and compressor makes it more difficult to hear other sounds that may serve as a warning. If there's enough room on the shoulder, the best place to work is along the passenger side of the service truck. Believe it or not, another safe area to work if there's no room on the shoulder is directly behind the service truck. This gives technicians a clear view of traffic and an opportunity to get out of the way in case an oncoming car approaches from the rear. Another important reminder is to always work with your back to the service truck so you can be aware of any potential hazards. When inflating a truck tire, always use a restraining device regardless of construction or rim configuration. Make sure the cage is a safe distance from the work area and all OSHA requirements for a tire inflation device are met. Never lean the assembly up against the service truck during or after the inflation process. Numerous technicians have been seriously injured or killed when tires outside the safety cage have ruptured or rims have separated. It's also important to make sure that air hoses are out of the way and are not in a traffic lane. When working on the driver's side of a disabled vehicle, use extra caution when running the air line to the tire or tires needing service. Once the service is complete, make sure all of the tools and hoses are picked up and properly stored on the service truck. The final step of the process is to complete the appropriate paperwork. There are several pieces of information that should be recorded on every road service work order. Basic facts like the vehicle number, license plate, date, location, and wheel position should be included on all paperwork. In some instances, getting the driver's signature is the only way to get paid for the work. If the driver is not available and the technician is working on a drop lot or in a terminal, make sure someone from the company signs the paperwork. If the signature is not legible, ask for the driver or company employee to spell their first and last name so it can be written on the work order or invoice. When filling out paperwork on the side of the road or highway, drivers should never sit behind the wheel of the service truck unless their seatbelt is fastened. If a driver is not wearing a seatbelt and the service truck is hit from behind, it could result in serious or fatal injuries. Finally, once the technician has returned to the shop, a complete post-trip inspection should take place. Supplies such as wheel fasteners and repair materials should also be restocked at the end of the day. While emergency road service can be extremely dangerous, following these guidelines will help protect technicians from an accident. By exercising caution and constantly being aware of the surroundings, road service technicians can work safely and minimize the risk of injury.